We have brand new revelations tonight about what Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin were up to when it came to trying to ensure the 2020 election ended with the defeat of Joe Biden and the re-election of Donald Trump. The director of national intelligence has released a report on how Moscow tried to carry out, in effect, a sequel to its 2016 election interference that was less reliant on actual hacking and cyber attacks and focused more on the people close to Trump. The report says Putin and the Kremlin, quote, authorized and conducted influence operations against the 2020 U.S. presidential election aimed at denigrating President Biden and the Democratic Party, supporting former President Trump, undermining public confidence in the electoral process, and exacerbating socio-political divisions in the U.S. A key element of Moscow's strategy was its use of proxies linked to Russian intelligence to push influence narratives, including misleading or unsubstantiated allegations against President Biden. U.S. media organizations, U.S. officials, and prominent U.S. individuals, including some close to former President Trump and his administration. The report declines to name names, but as the Washington Post reports, the mention of individuals close to the former president, quote, appears to reference Trump's one-time personal lawyer, Rudolph Giuliani, whose repeated meetings with a suspected Russian agent came under scrutiny by U.S. officials. The report from the DNI said Iran also sought to influence the election to hurt Trump's re-election chances, while China didn't bother to get in the game at all, contradicting the former president's frequent assertions. The Justice Department and Homeland Security also released their latest report on claims we heard after the election about foreign governments owning or trying to manipulate voting machines or vote counts.
We're using a foreign company that is owned by Venezuelans who are close to Chavez, are now close to Maduro, have a history. They were founded as a company to fix elections.
What we are really dealing with here and uncovering more by the day is the massive influence of communist money through Venezuela, Cuba, and likely China in the interference with our elections here in the United States.
The president's lawyers alleging a company called Dominion, which they say started in Venezuela with Cuban money and with the assistance of Smartmatic software, a backdoor is capable of flipping votes.
The Justice Department and Homeland Security found, quote, those claims were not credible. This report today reminds us how close our democracy came. That's constant wording, too. It comes every day. And also reminds us where the talking points came from that we heard out of the mouth of our president and the people around him.
You know, this report is seminal in another way. This is the second time in less than 4 years the U.S. intelligence community has warned that we were attacked again, this time with less direct operations using cyber tools as opposed to what they did in 2016, which was to actually create the narrative. They used more traditional human intelligence tools in this one by an ex-KGB officer who actually ran spies when he was in the KGB. And he used an associate of his personally, a Mr. Derkach, to send information to Rudy Giuliani and other U.S. entities and literally craft a narrative for them to use against now President Biden and his family. And they ran with it. Giuliani was into it before the Ukraine scandal. All of this we now find out was a component of the Kremlin itself and Russian military and clandestine intelligence services, and Americans were neck deep in it.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.